Hello and welcome back! Today's video is about the title Cat's Eye, the classic beautifully drawn 1981 manga of Tsukuda Hobby, which was adapted into a 73 episode anime series. I've always longed for a figure about the main characters, but since this is a more than 40 years old story, it's kinda mission impossible at this point. There are some rare ones, like the official Jungle Fantasy collection figures of Hitomi, Rui and Ai, the protagonists, but they are hard to find and quite pricey, at least 15,000 yens each, which is about $100 or euros. There are some professionally sculpted, pre-painted, high-end figures as well, like the diorama from the group Kami Arts, the single statues of KM Studio, the absolutely amazing edition by Immortals for a whopping 900 euros. And since I'm broke AF and I couldn't afford any of these aforementioned dioramas unless I want to starve to death, I thought to myself, let's make our own cat's eye figures with blackjack and hookers. As this is a very old series, most of the pre-painted figures are long gone. The same goes for any resin kit too, however, there are some that surface occasionally here and there, and in today's video I'm going to work on one like this. Out of the blue, I got a stock notification from Mandarake that an unpainted, unassembled model kit from the brand Tsukuda Hobby is available, and for a fair price of 2,800 yens, which is about $19 or euros. It pretty much was a no-brainer to buy it, as these vintage kits can be insanely expensive, as in most cases they are 20-30 years old, often like the series they have the figures from. The one I managed to buy was the third sister, Ai, although in many European countries her name was translated to Love. It shows her in her trademark orange leotard she uses during their heist. The whole series revolves around three sisters, Rui, Hitomi and Ai, who are half Japanese, half German. They live in Japan and run a cafe called Cat's Eye during the day, but during the night they are cunning art thieves who are looking for a specific collection, the one by the German art collector Michael Heinz, who escaped from Germany during the time of the Second World War and settled down in Japan, where he married a Japanese woman fathering 3 children. However, he vanished without a trace soon after, leaving his daughters, the 3 sisters, behind, so they took upon themselves to find their father's art collection, and by doing so possibly stumbling on any info about his whereabouts. During their missions, all 3 wear tight leotards, Hitomi a blue one, Rui a violet one, and Ai an orange one. When I ordered it, I thought this would be a small old figure with many issues. I was stunned when it came in a huge box. The figure itself is quite heavy. I don't have a scale, but I would say it's close to 2 pounds, which is honestly surprising. The box itself did not hold much, just a sheet of paper with Japanese instructions. I made the mistake of approaching the project the way I do it with my newer kits, sanding, drilling, pinning, the usual stuff. Despite cleaning it thoroughly, I had a hard time when I tried to even out its imperfections, smooth out the spots where I had to use milliput, or where I glued the parts together. Even gluing it together was a challenge since the parts were so uneven. The pose of the statue was making it hard to stand on its own, on its thin base. So before even reaching the painting phase, I already had a lot of challenges. I decided to pin the arms and legs together, and I had to apply a ton of mini put to hide the holes and position the legs in a sort of natural way. I did not pin the head though, which I regretted ever since, as it refused to stick on the neck and fell down so many times later that I'm honestly amazed it never broke. I used Vallejo's Ghost Grey color again, which for the first time barely covered the figure. Probably due to its age, the surface of the resin had this rubbery, greasy feel, which made it very hard for the paint to stick, so I had to go over it a couple of times to give it a somewhat even coverage. For the skin, I used my mixture of different skin colors, and I painted the hair black, even though she is half Asian, half European, and in some of the promotional artworks, all sisters seem to have brown highlights. The main part of the body is covered by orange, minus the odd leg warmers that Ai does not wear in the anime at all, but according to the box art it was supposed to be brown. She also wears a red belt. The top of the leotard is light yellow. I mixed a little white in it to lighten the color. At first, I tried to paint the eyes based on the original design, but the carvings for the eyes were uneven and it very much showed the difference in size. So I searched for an eye decal that has a similar style to the recent version of the girls, since there was a special City Hunter crossover story where the sisters are present too with newer modern designs. It's not the best, but at least the decal covers the imperfections. As for the base, I did not want to keep it just plain white, so I decided to paint on the cat's eye symbol the sisters use on their cards during their heists. It took a lot of work and a couple of nervous breakdowns to finally glue the legs to it. During the process, the statue fell over a lot, damaging the paint, which had to be corrected time and time again. At one point, I was absolutely done with the whole ordeal and called it finished, as it was past my patience. After a couple of coats of shiny Vallejo varnish, this is the final look. What I've learned for this first really vintage project is that sanding is pretty much useless at this point, probably due to the age of the models, as it gets even more coarse when I try it, no matter what method I use. The same goes for trying to fill the gaps with milliput. It takes ages and several coats of paints to hide the uneven surface that is left after the material. Despite being less pretty than the current garage kits, There is no point in trying to alter it or to make it more appealing. You've got to work with what you have and accept that this is from another time when this was the norm, and appreciate that you could buy it after this many years. I'm not so proud of this job, as I should have had more patience, but at one point you just have to let it go. A more experienced painter could have made a prettier figure out of it, maybe not, but at least I have my own cat's eye figure now. And if you thought this figure is ugly, just wait until you see what the other sister looks like in the next painting video. And with that, I'm going to leave you today. Thank you for watching and see you soon.